Hello?
Hey, who is it?
Call sign Medic Lake Near.
Call sign Sunlight Bravo.
I ask to bind. Rivka.
Response? Chamberlain. You her? We're getting into some very serious business here. It's illegal for the federal armed forces to deploy within U.S. borders. I shouldn't be here. That's why you see the National Guard responding to this.
Thank you for coming. Dressed in your civvies, are we?
Indeed. Don't want to be confused for one of them paramilitary types. Ironic, isn't it? A private military group composed of convicts and foreign nationals is deployed by a non-governmental entity, no less, to respond to this crisis. But no special forces rescue ops are legally allowed here.
Backwards world we live in. Purely coincidental that Umbrella gets the upper hand in such an arrangement. Who knew the government was a direct competitor to the Umbrella Corporation? Not that I'm a big fan of the government either.
How do you plan on doing this then? What do you got on you?
You brought that recording device? Like I told you?
I've had it on for a while now.
Good. I didn't bring anything. It's all in my noggin.
You memorized everything?
Yes, sir. Sure did. Safer that way.
Impressive. You gonna keep your ear pro on throughout all this?
Don't see why not. I'm not the one that's gonna do all the listening. I'd keep your ear protection handy, though. Might have to blast some Z's. It's not safe here.
This the last thing you do before you leave the city for good?
Yes. Should have left sooner, maybe. Took my shot on obtaining more info, though. Let's get on with this. The following was recovered from an Umbrella Corporation private train, named the Ecliptic Express. Such trains would allow the corporation to meet the transportation needs of its employees, while insulating them away from the ordinary public. This made it less likely for sensitive information to cross-pollinate into public spaces, for lack of a better phrase. The transfer of Umbrella's proprietary assets, including lethal bioweapons and perilous biohazardous materials, could be expertly orchestrated via the use of such trains. The Ecliptic Express ran its course through the Arklay Mountains, near Raccoon City. The transfer of Umbrella's proprietary assets, including lethal bioweapons and biohazardous materials, could be expertly orchestrated. On Thursday, 23 July 1998, the Ecliptic Express was attacked and subsequently halted in its tracks. Umbrella bioweapons, in the form of virally infected animals, broke free from local facilities. As a member of the Raccoon City STARS unit put it, the forest was filled with zombies and monsters. STARS, or the Special Tactics and Rescue Service, was comparable to a city's SWAT team. While they were under the jurisdiction of the Raccoon City Police Department, they were privately funded and could operate with some autonomy. What is peculiar is that they incorporated academic experts in the team. Forensics experts and other lab personnel are not usually attached directly to a SWAT team. Perhaps it can be speculated that the Umbrella Corporation, a large influence on the city and its governance, ordained this in anticipation of something. A privately influenced paramilitary team that would deploy to high-threat situations, who have alongside them the scientific minds to understand threats of what type exactly? I wonder. One might almost think it so that this team could better respond to any outbreaks of mistakes that accidentally got out. At least on an official level, under official cover. Let's not kid ourselves. Umbrella had its other private paramilitary forces doing all the shady wet work that couldn't be seen in the open. For now, let us refocus ourselves on the Ecliptic incident, as I have come to call it. Scientific mind Rebecca Chambers, attached to STARS and deployed to the Arklay Mountains, found herself separated and alone. As part of the STARS Bravo team, she was inside the Bell UH-1 Iroquois helicopter that carried them, as it experienced catastrophic engine failure. They were originally sent to support Alpha Team, who went radio silent inexplicably. STARS was instructed to assault a suspected holdout of serial killers, whom the media called the cannibal murderers. But this understanding of the situation woefully underprepared them for the events to follow. After an emergency landing, Bravo Team was attacked by virally infected canines. It is unclear if the animals were bioweapon experiments that escaped an Umbrella facility, or if an engineered virus had broken containment and had gone on to infect feral dogs in the forest. In any case, after an emergency landing, Rebecca emerged from out of the helicopter and onto a forest of peril. Separated from Bravo team and alone, she stumbled across the Ecliptic Express, halted in its tracks. And like I said earlier, this is the origin of the documents that I will be sharing with you. This document appears to be a diary of an ill-fated Umbrella employee on board the doomed Ecliptic Express. July 14th. Orders came from the boss today. Looks like we're in charge of investigating the remains of the Arklay Mountains laboratory. We're moving in 2 groups, with us as the initial group, assigned to stand checking what's left of the abandoned experiment. July 16th. Unfortunately, the test production of the BOW Type Y-139 had to be suspended because of this investigation. There's still so much we don't know about responses to the crustacean T-virus. There's a lot of interesting research left. Depending on the species and nurturing conditions, only minute doses of the T-virus bring about remarkable changes in solidity, size, multiplication of internal toxins, and brain development. If these effects can be controlled, a weapon could be produced. But the sudden development of the shell results in corresponding fragility. Certain areas become exceedingly weak. Problematically, one of these areas is the head carapace. This lab we are going to, were they pursuing the same research, it would certainly help to find data and samples that help us in our research. Here we have references to bioweapons research and the existence of multiple secret Umbrella facilities in the Arklay region. The next document appears to be a set of investigation orders. It should be noted that this document was damaged, and this is a reconstruction of its contents. 8 miles north of Raccoon City, in the Arklay Mountains, lies our company's management training facility. It was shut down 10 years ago. Now, we are conducting a preliminary study into the reopening of the facilities. The first investigation unit is already on site and has begun the investigation. I want your team to provide support. The following orders are for William Barker and the first investigation unit. The name mentioned is strikingly similar to William Birkin, a character of note, but it is unclear why it was misrepresented. Unfortunately for Rebecca, she was not able to leave the train so easily. Aside from the reanimated victims of its passengers, the train was started with her on board. It is speculated that an Umbrella security service team was dispatched to destroy the compromised train, lest any company secrets get out. But according to Rebecca, a man claiming to be Marcus may have had something to do with the events that unfolded on the train. She was unable to apply the brakes in time, after suddenly and unexpectedly finding herself on board the runaway train. In any case, the runaway train derailed as it made entrance to a seemingly long-abandoned Umbrella executive training school. The passengers on board were staff that were tasked with making the facility operational again. Only Rebecca survived on arrival, according to her reports. Pulling herself from the wreckage, she found herself at the site of the aforementioned Umbrella executive training school. Like something out of a nightmare, Rebecca found herself in a mansion-like facility, filled with the undead. But this would be a site for the uncovering of more documents, like the following titled Regulations for Trainees, found at the site. Training Facility Mission. This training facility will raise a new generation of model employees to serve the future of Umbrella Corp. Applying the strictest and most rigorous training standards, this facility will, without regard for gender, race, or creed, produce only the best candidates to be the global future leaders of Umbrella Corporation. We look forward to the development of your leadership qualities. Training facility guidelines: discipline, obedience, unity. These 3 words are the basic principles that govern Umbrella Corporation employees and are to be considered the law of this facility. Keep these words in mind at all times. Devote yourselves to your training and bring honor to yourselves and the corporation. Signed, James Marcus, Director, of the Umbrella Corporation Management Training Facility. The same James Marcus that Rebecca reported to have encountered while on board the train. Or at least some freak bioweapon experiment that claimed to be James Marcus. The following appears to be the entries from his personal diary, recovered from the facility. December 4th. We finally did it. The new virus. We have called it the progenitor. I want to carry it back and start detailed investigations immediately. March 23rd. Spencer says he's going to start a company. Well, I don't care. As long as I can continue my research into progenitor, he can do what he likes.
What was that?
Cover your ears for a second. We're good here.
Right on. You beat me to the punch. Either I reached for my ears or drew my piece. And personally, I dislike the idea of hearing loss.
Smart. I hope this does not make you reconsider our arrangement. Trust me. Lost in the city, where people have a tough time getting to us, is the only safe place right now.
You say that because of Umbrella's private military, right? You feel that they could be after people like us.
I know for certain that they are after people like us.
You're paranoid. They probably don't even know we exist.
More than likely, they do not. I only know they follow any trail that could lead to any leak. It's why we're doing this in person. Out here. In an undead city. Out of the way. Where we can notice someone approaching before they notice us. It's perilous getting to us. That's the gimmick. After this, we'll be on our way. If anything happens to me before I get out, well, that's why I'm giving you everything I know thus far.
Not a lot of undead cities around for us to use, eh?
Nope, just this one. And it's only going to be around for a few nights.
Oddly cryptic. What makes you so sure?
Just a hunch feeling. Let's get back to it, shall we?
Yes. Let's.
August 19th. Spencer keeps asking me to be the director of his new training facility. Maybe it's because of the business, but he's becoming intolerably pushy. But maybe I can turn this to my advantage. I need a special facility to properly explore all this virus's secrets. A place where no one will get in the way. November 30th. Damn that Spencer. He came to complain to me again today. He thinks of progenitor as nothing more than a money-spinning tool. Fool. But if his influence continues to grow, it can only be bad for my research. If I'm to properly develop progenitor, I must strengthen my own position too. September 19th. At last. I've discovered a way to build a new virus type with progenitor as a base. Mixing it with leech DNA was the breakthrough I needed. I call this new virus T for Tyrant. October 23rd. It's no good. I can't hope for real progress by experimenting on mere rodents. Only humans can be a proper mammalian subject for the experiments. Otherwise, I'll never make any real progress. November 15th. Someone seems to suspect something about my experiments. But perhaps it's just my imagination. Well, if anyone does get too close, they may find themselves unexpectedly assisting in my research. January 13th. At last they are ready. My wonderful leeches. Those of low intelligence. They will never have the privilege of tasting this sense of joy and satisfaction. Now finally I can move against Spencer. Soon I will control everything. January 31st. The devices I set to protect my work have been disturbed. It appears someone came looking for tea in the leeches. Fool. No doubt the work of Spencer's group. This set of diary entries dates to the year 1966, and it makes many references to Oswell E. Spencer, an aristocratic British billionaire virologist and eugenicist, as well as one of the founders of Umbrella. The following appears to be an assistant director's diary. A year is not explicitly mentioned on this document, but based on its context, it is likely detailing events from 1977 to 1978. September 2nd. A useless bunch of trainees, as always. Where does headquarters find these idiots? We did get a couple of decent ones, though, so I can't complain, I guess. William and Albert. They might have a future. September 25th. Scholar Will. Practical Al. They really are opposites, and they're always competitive in everything they do. There's something ruthless and cruel about them both. This document sheds light on an interesting detail. Albert Wesker was the team leader of STARS. At this point in time, he was Rebecca's superior, and his whereabouts were unknown, along with the rest of Alpha Team. The document also mentions a William Birkin, a head scientist employed at Umbrella. It stands to reason that Wesker was also currently employed by Umbrella, while fulfilling his duties as a STARS officer. This next document appears to be from the diary of a management trainee. The entries here are disjointed, undated, and appear to suggest some sort of degeneration of the author as the entries progress. What is it that Director Marcus is researching all the time? And what's with his weird interest in leeches? Interest. Seems more like love at times. Rumor has it that there's something dangerous about those leeches. It is true that when Dennis just touched one, he got ill with a fever. Again today. There were those horrible moans beyond that door. Let sleeping dogs. No way I'll go near them. Even if the director ordered me. I don't want to end up like Dennis. That poor bastard. Scratching and scratching. Makes me itch just watching him. Must maybe go. If can but. Dennis gone. I go. Hungry. Help. Mom. This is clear documentation of zombification, for lack of a better phrase. At least 2 instances. Keep in mind, this is recounting events decades in the past. Obviously now we can see that zombies are real. The hard-hitting question is, why was this outbreak even allowed when Umbrella knew of such a possibility? There's a lot of ample warning here. They knew it was possible for years. Do they just not care about other people? What we have next is an inmate list that was recovered from that facility. This document lists inmates used for experimental testing, detailing their status as either deceased and disposed of, preserved as specimens, or transported to various research facilities and laboratories. Clear human rights violations, murder and kidnap at the whim of the corporation, in the name of its bioweapons research, no doubt. Next, we have a second instance of Marcus's diary. It exists as a torn-out page. It reads, "Trouble is unlikely, but I closed my babies up in a special capsule. But it won't be safe if I hold on to it myself. I'll hide it in that place. To hide a leaf, put it in a forest. To open the capsule, the special stripping agent is necessary. No way Spencer's lackeys could figure out how to make it." Here we gain insight into the internal turmoil which was occurring within the organization, as well as more details on the bioweapons research carried out by Marcus himself. Next, we have an investigator's report. This document reveals that Dr. Marcus, co-founder of the Umbrella Corporation, disappeared 20 years ago, and his research has been secretive since. Evidence found underground at a training facility shows he was experimenting with the T-virus prototype Progenitor, using company employees as test subjects. At least 20 individuals were subjected to these experiments, some abducted to protect the corporation's secrets. Dr. Marcus's current whereabouts are unknown, but the rapid growth of the Umbrella Corporation suggests his research continues. The facility is now filled with the results of his experiments. The document ends abruptly with missing pages. If Marcus has officially been missing for that long, then it certainly makes Rebecca's recent encounters with him all the more interesting, especially since she reports interacting with a much younger version of him, as he looked like he did in a 1939 graduation photograph, which was also recovered from the facility. This next document details more of Dr. Marcus's experimentation. February 3rd, 1978. Administrated T into 4 leeches. Their will to survive leads them first to parasitism and predation. Then they breed and multiply. Such a single-minded biology makes them attractive candidates for bioweapons research. Afterwards, no major changes observed. February 10th, 1978. 7 days since administration of T. Rapid growth to double former size. Signs of transformation emerging. Spawning successful. They double their numbers in 1 hour, but their ravenous appetites lead them to cannibalism. Hastened to increase food supply, but lost, too. March 7th, 1978. Provided them with live feed, but lost half when the live food fought back. However, the leeches are learning from experience and are beginning to exhibit group attack behavior. They are also ceasing cannibalism. Their evolution is exceeding expectations. March 7th, 1978. Provided them with live feed, but lost half when the live food fought back. However, the leeches are learning from experience and are beginning to exhibit group attack behavior. They are also ceasing cannibalism. Their evolution is exceeding expectations. April 22nd, 1978. The leeches no longer exhibit individual behavior, even when not feeding. They move as a collective. They consume everything I offer with remarkable efficiency. April 30th, 1978. An employee has stumbled onto my experiments. Can a human be a food source? How will the leeches respond? June 3rd, 1978. A day worthy of commemoration. Today they begin to mimic me. Surely they recognize their father. Wonderful children. No one will take you away. Here we have documentation of murder, bioweapons research, and a miraculous instance of sapience observed in non-human animals. This could have changed the world. This entry was from decades ago. Shame that it only changed things for the worse. Next, we have something that makes mention of other bioorganic weapons developments. BOW report. Research to date has shown that when the progenitor virus is administered to living organisms, violent cellular changes cause a breakdown in the system. Furthermore, no satisfactory method has been found to control the organisms for use as weapons. Clearly, greater coordination at the cellular level is essential to enable further growth. I conducted a number of experiments in an effort to find a breakthrough. This is my report. Insecta. Perhaps because these ancient animals have been genetically stable for millennia, when administered with the progenitor virus, they exhibit only explosive, high-energy growth and increased aggressiveness. It is extremely difficult to envision using them as BOWs. Amphibia. Injecting a frog with the virus resulted in an increase in leaping power and abnormal tongue growth. However, no change in mental ability was observed. Furthermore, an abnormal appetite resulted in the test subject randomly attacking all moving objects. Usefulness for BOW purposes is limited. Mammalia. The progenitor virus was merged with monkey's cellular DNA, resulting in increased fertility. The resulting young exhibited improved aggressiveness and some increased mental capacity. As a side effect, visual power was lost, but this was offset by an improvement in hearing ability. However, they were unsatisfactory as weapons. It does seem that no progress can be made without making humans the base organism. The report suggests that further progress in developing effective BOW research requires using humans as the base organism. implying a shift towards more unethical and dangerous experimentation on humans. Geneva Conventions, more like Geneva Suggestions. This next document is a continuation of the investigators' reports mentioned earlier. We should have finished with this dump long ago. When all this started, did anyone expect that there would be guns blazing away like this? We weren't told a thing about these creatures attacking us at the briefing. Guess they were a surprise to the head honchos, too. The things in the woods just started to attack people. That had to be planned. Someone deliberately scattered that virus, no doubt about it. But the guards, our fellow soldiers, they still must be around. Well, whatever. Don't have to worry about that anymore. What I've got to worry about is whether to use my last bullet on myself or on a friend. That's the only decision I have to make. At first it seemed like this investigator was acting independently of Umbrella. Now it would appear as if they were merely working for a different branch of it. Probably a paramilitary group funded by Umbrella sent in to investigate the area, after communication with pre-existing personnel was lost. All that remains to be shared now, in regards to the ecliptic incident, is Rebecca's official report. Carefully disseminated. Yes. With backup copies, of course. You will receive it later. What I have been saying in our previous conversations, and indeed, in this current instance, must certainly match the details you already know. It's why you've bothered to entertain my eccentricities. Right?
Very well. But before we move on, tell me something. There is physical proof of such documents, right?
Carefully disseminated. Yes. With backup copies, of course. You will receive it later. What I have been saying in our previous conversations, and indeed, in this current instance, must certainly match the details you already know. It's why you've bothered to entertain my eccentricities. Right?
Objectively true. But give yourself some credit. You're charming in your own right.